All right, I didn't hear anything Mikey K
Oh, you
said,
didn't hear
so
what
I
Mikey
just say
said?
good
Oh, Mikey, go ahead. You didn't hear what you say. Go ahead.
Good morning once again, Senator. It's a
Yes.
pleasure to have you on. Yours truly, Mikey K, Leonard Smith, Andy Williams. I know it's been a hectic week and it's only Wednesday. We have CPEP on the front burner. We have the fact that many are calling out how independent these independent senators are. And so much is being revealed in the Senate. So many bombshells, whose sisters selling pie, who use the resources of the buses and what have you. Please share with us. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Mikey, Andy, Lennox, and to all your listeners, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. All I can say is the more that we investigate, the more that we request reports across ministries in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the more I can say thank you to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for voting on April 28th. When you see some of the insanity that the PNM has been operating with, your mind would boggle. It seems that they were so arrogant, coming down from the leadership of Keith Rowley, Stuart Smallpin Young, the cabinet, down into the chairman of boards, the interlocking directorships. Noel Garcia, where is Noel Garcia? Is Noel Garcia here, or has he gone to Ghana? What's he doing in Ghana? You see, at HDC, for example, we have seen some of the most corrupt practice known to man. And people in this country are clamoring and desirous of housing. People want to keep their families safe and under shelter. And the PNM used the HDC as a feeding trough for friends, family, and financiers. They created a web of interlocking directorships. Rowley's best friend, Noel Garcia, and the man who he put in charge of spending nearly every cent of the PSIP, the IDF, the construction across Trinidad and Tobago, was controlling HBC and dividing it into different segments, different companies, so that he and Newman George and Rowley could control every single thing. They built and they ended up creating an inefficient monstrosity where money was spent, but houses were not complete. And people are out there hoping with a reference number. Everybody has a reference number, and they're sending it, and there are no houses. And the few houses that they have, the PNM gave out to themselves, to their friends, to their membership, and left the citizens out there just holding on to a wing and a prayer. There was a policy that's supposed to, if you have a percentage of houses to allocate, the cabinet note from way back 2006, 2007 says that 25% of those houses could be from a minister recommending. So, you know, the ministers now, like, for example, people just come in, meeting you on the street, police officers, army officers, family people, single mothers, and they're giving you a reference to the man saying, oh, gosh, minister, help me. And then MPs all across the country getting the same thing. 25% of houses allocated should be from a ministerial recommendation. So MPs come in and give a letter and so on. Do you know what the PNM was doing? The PNM gave out 64.5% of ministerial. So PNM recommending PNM, and they gave out 64%. They then had another category, 15%, where they said recommender unknown. So we don't know who recommend. It could be Superman, Batman, but obviously it is some Balize houseman or woman who recommend. So add that again to the 64%, and that takes you close to 80% of houses allocated were allocated by PNM to PNM. Even the services, the people who serve our country, the army, the police, the fire, these services, prisons officers, they are supposed to get, Mikey and Andy, a 10% allocation. So if you have 100 houses to give out, 10% supposed to be allocated to somebody in the service. You know what the PNM was given? 4% to the officers, to the police officers, to the fire officers. They also supposed to give 10% of the houses when allocated to differently able people, blind, deaf, people in wheelchairs, those who are most vulnerable. You know what the PNM allocation was for the differently able? 1%. They used the HDC as a political feeding trough before the election. Remember, after we win, you saw some things on news where people were going by HDC office down in South and somewhere and clamoring for pay, you know, wanting to know where the money is and so on. Well, when Minister David Lee investigated and asked for a report on what exactly was taking place, you know what Minister Lee unearthed? That just in March of this year, the HDC, through its managing director, hired 2,300 people. Just so. Without cabinet approval, without cabinet note, without any sort of specific project, just for election, 2,300 people were given short-term contract, 1 month and 2 months, just after the election. Where they did it, why they did it, when Minister Lee and myself were asking them, but how you did this, how were these people selected? They're saying, well, the ministers, the PNM ministers would recommend and tell us, and it increased from 600 to 900 and 1,200 and then 2,300. Minister Lee said, listen to me, we will deal with the process and so on, the illegality of your actions, the lack of approval, the lack of cabinet approval. But if you all undertook to make a commitment to the citizens that you're all going to pay them for whatever program the PNM thought it was, you must pay the people. So Minister Lee ensured that the people got the money. But the problem is, this is the type of situation that has been going on in every ministry across Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM was running the government like their personal bank account, like their personal feeding trough. No policy, no paperwork. This is why the Auditor General for 2 years was unable to give an opinion on the accounts of Trinidad and Tobago and the fiscal accounts, as the Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Persad read out in the Parliament a few weeks ago. The Auditor General could not give an opinion because there is no paperwork, there are no invoices. Procurement is questionable. Yesterday in the Senate, I tell all you, Mikey K, you go lost your hair. I know you have a full afro, you know. You go lost your hair when you hear this one. You go be bald like Anil. Imagine in the HDC, up in Bonaire West, right? That is the constituency of Marvelous Marva, right? There was a tender done in 2018 for a wastewater system in Bonaire West HDC project, a housing project, right? It was tendered out, and the company that won for tender a bid of the project, and it was $3.9 million. PNM, as usual, slow, and they didn't do anything. So a year passed. The tender itself was now illegitimate because that tender was only legal for a certain period of about a year. HDC didn't care about that. They then increased the contract over the next 7 years with the same contractor that won a bid at $3.9 million. They increased that contract price to $35 million. Have you ever hear that?
Wow.
$35 million. And the contractor himself is telling the HCC what kind of options them will have and how much they should pay. When they increase, Wassa said, well, the project takes so long, they have more house, so you have more daily flow of wastewater to deal with. Wassa do a test and say the maximum is 2,000 per day. but the average is 2,200. So you need about 2,900 cubic meters per day in order to handle, because it don't ever be maximum all the time. But all right, the contractor tell HCC, well, once I say 2,900 cubic meters a day, I go build a system and charge you for it for 3,500 cubic meters a day. And I give you a price now of $19.8 million. And this bid only is valid, or this price, this invoice, this estimate is only valid for 45 days. 2 years later, the managing director of the HCC say, hey, remember that price you gave at 19 million? No big thing, we go pay you 29.9 million plus the 3.9 million plus the 1.9 million that we increased. So we'll pay you 35 million. That is procurement, contract, and wastage of money, P&M style, pure corruption. And you would know that the contractor is a favored son of the P&M. And this is just one example. The Attorney General's office, he spoke about legal fees and briefs and wastage of money. In the Ministry of Works and Transport, you see in corruption, Zemcot, Airport Authority, Caribbean Airlines, all over the place, Ministry of Education, Sport Company, anywhere the P&M was, there's no process, no procedure, poor corporate governance, pure wastage, no value for money, and then these P&M come in to tell you where the money will come from. They crash the economy, but don't worry. The people spoke on April 28th, and we will fix it. Kamla Prasad Visesa will fix it. What has to happen and is already happening under the Ministry of Energy, you see Dr. Rudal Munilal making moves, increasing gas production. He is listening to the brilliant engineers and so on that we have in this country who understand oil and gas. No more is it a dumb lawyer, Stuart Smallpin Young, playing that he bright and ignoring the intelligent people who study and who have experience in the field to go and negotiate in 2017 and cause our country to make a loss in gas. Rudal Munilal has brilliant people around him. He's moving forward. He's making relationships with Suriname, Guyana, Grenada, plus our local on-land fields of offshore gas, improving production, going downstream. You'll see Point Lisa start to pick up. You heard the Honorable Kama Maharaj talking about trade and investment and opportunities. That Trinidad and Tobago is open for business. Revenue streams will be open. Look at Tobago, increased flights to Tobago already. That jewel, that diamond in the rough, Tobago, we will start to increase the tourism, sport tourism, carnival launching, bands launching this week. We will make Trinidad and Tobago safe so more people will come here and spend money. So have no fear. Kamla Prasad Visesa is here. The UNC you voted for, and we will fix all of this P&M corruption. The P&M is where it ought to be, in opposition and decimated, divided. Yesterday in the Senate, the P&M now taking a position. Well, Arawi, for example, defending himself as Attorney General and trying to make a case that he didn't waste money and he spent value for money while throwing Reginald Armour under the bus. He didn't defend Armour and Camille Robinson Regis. So Team P&M is now man for themselves. The next one, Vishnu Danpal, when I debated last night and I was showing him that the economy was crashed by the P&M and what the poor budgeting and the new practice of under budgeting and then come in media review to come for a supplementary appropriation. The nonsense, the games they were playing with our credit rating, the loss of jobs, the depression, the drop in GDP of 17.8%, putting us into a depression with stagflation, no jobs plus inflation. Dan Paul sit on there, he said, well, that was me. In other words, he says, call me but crash the economy, not me. I now reach. That is the new position of the PNM, to try and dissociate themselves from the mess, the collapse of the economy and our country that was conducted, disseminated by Keith Rowley, Stuart Smallpin Young and the PNM. Man for themselves, PNM is splintered and shattered, and we must keep them there because they have decimated this country and they must stay out for not one term, not 2 terms, but 3 and 4 terms. The PNM must never raise its evil head again.
Oh boy. And you are so correct. Lennox Smith. Oh boy, I wonder if you hear me. Anyhow, Minister, we heard everything you say. We want to tell you because they're getting problems here on their side, but that's nothing. At least you, as a journalist, which you are too, on a very great talk show host, we are sure that you explained every single thing when it coming to all those discrepancies within the housing ministry and all those wastage and all this situation. Right, let me just ask one quick question that a lot of people asking, because under the PNM, not a house or not much house was given out to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, or they didn't ever had much contracting or building of homes within that ministry. What things looking like at this point in time in you all using that ministry in order to provide more houses, which will heat up the economy when it coming to work and people getting work and the construction industry getting boom again.
Yes,
yeah.
Well, the Honorable Minister David Lee has met with not only Minister of Finance Dave Tanku, but Minister of Planning Kennedy Swarat Singh, and they are putting programs and plans in place to raise funding to get, as you said, the housing stock built. There are over 37 projects that are incomplete, plus 11 PPP projects that have been floundering under the PNM because they don't even work hand in hand with contractors and developers and investors to get projects going. The PNM just simply cannot implement. Money disappears. You know about Tarani Racing Complex. 200 million back in the 70s disappeared. Not a horse run on any track. Project Pride, 400 million disappeared. No revive move, nothing happened. That's what PNM does. They are like magicians. They just empty the treasury and nothing is done. So under the guidance of Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Minister Lee, there's going to be a massive housing program with a number of methodologies being utilized, whether it's loan, grant funding. We will wait for some, I will argue for the budget. Remember, the first budget of Kamala Prasad Bisesa is going to come sometime in September. This appropriation, supplementary appropriation, that PNM thing, PNM arguing with themselves when you hear them, they can't even debate. Because obviously with an election on April 28th, the supplementary appropriation,
yes,
the supplementary appropriation documents of each ministry by the budget division of the Ministry of Finance would have been completed before ministers was selected by Kamala Prasad Bisesa, chosen and gone into the ministries. That's the process, to do all those documents and to come up with the numbers and so on. So this appropriation that we just passed is the PNM appropriation, what them had planned to do, because they under-budgeted things like recurrent expenditure, salaries and so on, books and textbooks that they knew they had to pay for. But to give an impression in September last year that the economy was good and the deficit was not as big, the PNM played games with the accounts and the budgeting process. So this appropriation has nothing to do. This appropriation has nothing, sorry about that, people just calling on a phone, has nothing to do with the UNC policies and Kamala Prasad Bisesa and what she wants to do. Kamala Prasad Bisesa's budget with Dave Tanku, the Minister of Finance, who is being prepared now. The strategies are being put in place. Money and figures are being put into the new positions, and the movement forward with love, care, and changing from the PNM culture of weaning the people of the resources to the resources must be used to benefit the people. Kamala's budget will be in September. Right now, we are still gathering information. The big ministers who have to get the revenue flowing and so on are hard at work Munilal, Tanku, Swarat Singh, and all the senior ministers are presenting plans and programs to move forward. So David Lee has already instructed the permanent secretary and so on that in the next few years, we are going to ramp up housing and give allocations and give hope to people with fairness and equity. No 80% of houses being allocated to buy from Balize House and all of this nonsense. So you can look forward to the government of the UNC changing the landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, giving opportunity and equity to all. All must have a chance to earn a contract. All must have a chance based on merit to serve the country. All must have a chance to be to earn a living wage in Trinidad and Tobago. That is a policy of Kamala Prasad, etc. PNM, every single thing on this earth, you have to go and find a K-Pax to live in Balize House. You have to see whatever contract, it's somebody's friend, somebody golfing partner, somebody mother, somebody father in a red jersey. That is wrong. The constitution of the country says that the resources must be utilized for the widest margin of people across Trinidad and Tobago. And that's what Kamala Prasad Bissessa will be doing, whether it is road, drainage, construction, box drain, across the board, school feeding, sport, contracts, development, architecture, planning. Everybody on merit will get an opportunity to earn and to serve. And that's how Trinidad and Tobago will move forward. So Kamala Prasad Bissessa will fix it.
Nice, nice. Well, you know, I find a way to get my colleagues and them on because they have some very serious questions that they would like to ask. So just give me 10 seconds, 10 seconds. You know, where there is a will, there is a way. You know, technology sometimes is operate. Oh, and use a grassroots minister. Hold 1 minute. What I'm going to do is just confront them there. Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, I heard that part of it, Andy.
Oh, you heard that part?
Yeah.
Hey, so, look, I'm ringing your phone.
It appears that that issue might have been
all right, look, I'm ringing your phone.
Partially resolved. But let me ask, at the risk of course, not having heard what he said before, but so I'm hoping that I'm asking a question that was not covered before. And that is, of course, well, I know that would have been challenges, but what are the main concerns now that you have moving forward? Because it is about delivery, it is about expediting things. I know that is a similar situation with Ms. Mohit when we had her on. That she cannot understand the delays, and they're working feverishly with other ministries as well to treat with those matters. So I'll leave it there. So the
nice.
Minister,
so, well, you won't hear me, Lennox, because you were near him. But, Minister, when I heard Lennox, you want to know what is one of the main challenges that you and your colleagues meet at the AGC there?
The main challenge is that the PNM spent in 9.5 years $600 billion, and like they have paid nobody. They have ageable payment, meaning people, citizens, companies are owed the tune of $500 million, you know, inside of the HDC. That is money that had to be paid before you could even start to move forward in new projects and new contracts. So this is when I tell you all that the PNM is so incompetent, corrupt, and wicked. You have to understand, when you see one ministry, people who may be cutting grass, maintaining, plumbers, contractors, elevator servicemen, garbage collection, masons and so on who fix roof, fix wall and so on. They have done work and the PNM didn't pay them, but the money disappeared and the bills are still there. So Kamala Prasad Bissessa, Minister Lee, all of them have to figure out Dave Tanku to pay and move forward. To earn, we have to diversify this economy. The PNM never diversifies. Every time a new government comes in and moves us along the continuum of diversification, increasing revenue streams, somehow the evil, wicked, corrupt PNM sneaks back in through gerrymandering, through the EBC changing boundaries, through a system with a PNM fake media that presents the PNM as a viable option, and then they take our country backwards. We as the people must stand firm and give Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC 10 and 15 years to really move this country to not only boost the energy sector and the downstream, but to go and improve sport tourism, health tourism, the manufacturing sector, to increase the yachting industry, boating industry, the environmental sector, to improve energy revenue streams across the board in AI, technology, using our bright people in agro-processing, agriculture, and in industry and creativity. We must find ways to utilize our skill, our human resource, our mental, our intellect, get away from these bursaries, from these dependency syndrome that everybody have to know somebody to get something. So the issue is that we will diversify, increase the revenue streams, but we have to be skillful because we have to fix the morass and the nonsense that the PNM did while delivering to the people and keeping our promises. Kamla Prasad Bisesa does not make jokes. She does not speak just for speaking sake. When she makes a promise, she commits to it, she will deliver it. And she said she would deliver it. So all ministers, all ministries are working hard and creatively to create new plans, new programs to increase revenue streams, not to increase taxation, not to just keep borrowing. We have to borrow for now because the PNM has been running deficit budgets month to month, and they have the audacity to be asking the Minister of Finance, how much you borrow for May? How much you borrow? You know how much we have to borrow because y'all were the ones who were not running the country properly. So Dave Tanku is on it. Swat Singh is on it. Munilal is on it. David Lee is on it. Trade and Kama Maraj is on it. Eli Zakur is on it. Jillian John is on it. The UNC is on it. And the UNC will fix it.
Lennox Smith, he answered your question there, partner. Oh boy, oh boy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister.
Nice. Minister, thanks so much because we was trying to all to get on to the mighty K. Boy, because he had all other questions to ask there. So I'm trying other line, which I'm trying it now. Hopefully he answers, so at least he will hear. And hey, Mikey, let the minister is on here. He's hearing you. Go ahead, Mikey. Ask for the question, you'll be able to hear him too. I'll call it from my next line. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, because I know, technology is a hell of a thing. Minister, again, I didn't hear completely everything, but the issue, of course, was cleared up with this CPEP. Yesterday, we had the line minister on, the Honorable Barry Padarat, and it goes back to what you've been saying for quite a while. The bias and the skewed comments that is made by this legacy media, moving forward, how do we get people to understand that you will have to turn into shows like this and what you are doing in order to get the facts of the matter?
Well, that is the most important thing. Mikey K, our population is now understanding how devastatingly dishonest the PNM fake news media is. The mass media, the Newsday, the Express, the Guardian, the TV6 and the CNT3, the 13 PNM radio stations. They're now understanding. So people are tuning into social media, tuning into real media CT, and getting facts, getting information. We have to stop allowing fake news media to make us believe that the PNM lies have some sort of veracity. The PNM is a disease. The PNM is a blight. They are divided. They cannot even support each other. All of them shoo-shooing. They knew that it was wrong for anybody to work for one day and get a big pension. They knew it, but they couldn't vote on anything. They could not. They knew that as election criteria for the party, they can't even have a convention in a big place. They have to go in the city hall. Why is a political party even having a political meeting in a government building like City Hall? But the media find that's okay. That is not okay. Government buildings are not for politics. Government buildings, government taxpayers' dollars, taxpayers' resources are for the people. Politics is a private. You have to have your own function. Go and rent a place. There are many places, conference halls, hotel, banquet halls. Rent that What is PNM doing in City Hall in Port of Spain for a convention? And they couldn't even fill that little room. That it shows you that the people are fed up because they are getting the truth from social media. They're getting the truth from shows like Real Media TV, like the Ground Report. Understand that, and we must keep the truth going because the PNM must never raise its wicked, evil head ever again.
Yeah, when you look at the level of hypocrisy, you're talking about people who recuse themselves from cabinet record number of times, never in the interest of the people that they're pretending to serve now, but they're talking about mobilizing, hitting the streets and what have you. What say you about that?
Well, the people should let those who benefited from the PNM hit the streets. Faris Al-Rawi should hit the streets because he rented out his building for 9 years at 23 million every 3 years, 69 million. He got 38 million to outfit his building, plus his salary, plus his post. So over 9.5 years, he benefited about 147.5 million. So Paris should be in the street. Stuart Young brother should be in the street. Stuart Young father should be in the street. Noel Garcia should be in the street. Ingrid Rashli, Narcisco, all of these people should go in the street. But leave poor people home. Understand that Canberra loves people, loves workers, loves the most vulnerable. She has to change the PNM corruption. She will change it and provide opportunities for all to get a sustainable living wage so that people could really live, could put food on the table. This is not no game. Stop playing the political game. Let them who get $1 million contract, let the contractor who tender price went up from 3.9 million to 35 million, let he go on the street. Let Noel Garcia contractors who did Skinner Park and turn it from a football field into a pet match site, let them go on the street and take action. To those who play golf like Gilbert Peterson with Rowley, let them go on the street. Poor people stay home and mind your children. Do your homework. Kamala will fix it. Kamala is in charge. And Kamala is coming to save you, help you live safely and love in Trinidad and Tobago. Let all of them friends, financiers and recusers, let them walk in the hot sun.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much again for taking time out to link with us here on the Ground Report and, of course, sharing that insight with us and giving us clarity. Thank you so much again.
God bless Trinidad and Tobago. Enjoy, and everybody celebrate. The Prime Minister of India is coming here. Kanra Prasad Bisesa, Kennedy Swaraj Singh, Dave Tanko, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sean Sobert. Bilateral talks will be going on. India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. They've alleviated poverty rates. They're improving the lives of citizens, even in rural India. They have a huge market. We are open for trade and investment. Our people must get opportunities, our manufacturers to expand and export. This is a visit that we can all be proud of. Thank you to Kamra Prasad Bisesa as we welcome the Prime Minister of India tomorrow.
Yes, before you go, it have some critics out there are saying that we get the India Prime Minister and he'll be coming here. And BRICS is one of the fastest growing things. Well, in my mind, the PNM done destroy the oil and gas industry in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, we know the Honorable Prime Minister, your team, or our government are working to get our gas and oil sector back up and running, including our refinery. But what place, if you could be able to announce on that in any way, what place we will take or make when it comes to BRICS, so if we are not one of those giants to be able to be in that based on how PNM done mash up the industry or what? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I stay in my lane. That will be a discussion for the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Planning, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Trade, and for the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Being in a government, your personal opinion can't just be shared wild. A question like that you've asked requires deep insight, reflection, research, prediction, modeling. We have to know what are the benefits, what are the pros and cons, what is the possibilities, what could be the geopolitical backlash. That is a huge decision. But Kamala Prasad Bisesa is brilliant and has a brilliant team around her. So if that is a possibility, then it will be researched, it will be discussed, and a decision will be made at the right time.
Nice. Before I go there, you make me laugh there. The Honorable Prime Minister, the Mother of the Nation, really, when you say that you stay in your lane, really had told all ministers, stay in your lane, stay within, and you showed there that this little lady really, really mature and really and truly doing what's best she have to do for the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts, and for staying in your lane.
God bless.
Yes. Oh boy.
All right, be safe, Trinidad and Tobago. Enjoy the sunshine.
Yes.